Have you ever met someone who disappeared from the frame whenever a camera appeared? That person who, instead of smiling for the photo, shies away as if the flash were a laser beam, or poses with the stiffness of someone being subjected to an interrogation. In a world where selfies are currency and stories are the public diary of existence, they look like aliens at an Earth party. But is this aversion to photos just a whim, or the tip of an emotional iceberg that we don't see? Before you think this is just stubbornness or clumsiness, a warning: there's nothing wrong with not liking photos. Not everyone needs to document every moment for it to be valid. Some simply prefer to live the scene rather than freeze it in pixels. And, honestly, at a time when we spend more time editing our lives than living them, this could even be a sign of sanity. But behind this apparently simple refusal, there is often a story of distrust, vulnerability, or even a silent rebellion against the rules of the social game. Just imagine, how many times has this person heard "smile" forced, while inside I felt like that smile was a mask? How many photos were taken without permission, in moments of fragility, and then used against her? The human brain has a keen memory for visual betrayals. If an image has ever been a weapon of blackmail, a source of jokes, or proof of a distorted version of oneself, the camera becomes an enemy. It's as if the shutter click echoes, "Careful, you are about to be judged." Over time, the reflex becomes automatic: hiding your face is protecting your soul. And it's not just that. There are people who hate photos because they hate the idea of being frozen in time. For them, an image is a static lie. It doesn't capture the laughter that came after, the conversation that changed everything, the context that gave meaning to those seconds. They are people who value the flow of life, not its cuts. Or perfectionists who never think they are ready to be recorded, as if each photo were a test that they are doomed to fail. Wait a little longer, when I'm better, but that day never comes. But here comes the most interesting thing: this resistance to photos may actually be an act of courage in disguise. In an era of compulsive exhibitionism, refusing to be another face on the feed is almost a manifesto. It's saying, "My life is not a product. My moments are not content. I exist beyond likes." For some people, avoiding photos is a way of preserving the sacred, those experiences that are so personal they don't fit on a screen. It's like keeping a secret to yourself, in a world that demands constant transparency. And if you are one of these people, no, you are not antisocial, nor the opposite narcissistic. Perhaps I only understood, before everyone else, that the essence of life is not in what is shown, but in what is felt. That a true memory doesn't need a filter, and that the best version of you isn't the one that fits into an Instagram square. Perhaps you discovered that the naked eye, yours and those of those who really matter, sees much more than any lens. So the next time someone insists on photographing you, remember, you're not running away from the camera. You are protecting something precious. And if you still give in, let it be by choice, not by obligation. Because at the end of the day, the photos that really matter are the ones we keep in our memory, not on our cell phones. So, do you identify with this too? Tell us here in the comments, what was the worst experience you've ever had with a photo? Share this text with those you know will understand. And if you want more reflections like this, turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Until next time, no pose, no filter, just truth. Camera with flash sparkles. The silence that speaks louder than any photo. There is something profoundly revolutionary about those who choose not to surrender to the spectacle. It's not rebellion without a cause, nor disdain for the world. It's the stillness of someone who understands that some things lose their magic when they become content. Have you ever stopped to think that, in an era where even breakfast becomes postage, refusing to be photographed is an act of poetic resistance? It's not about hiding. It's about preserving. Like a rare book that you don't lend out for fear of crumpling the pages, or a song that you keep just to listen to alone, at full volume, without witnesses. Life is not a public album, and those who understand this carry with them a freedom that few know about, that of existing without evidence. Think about the photos that really matter, the ones that were never taken. The laughter that escaped in the middle of a crisis, the tight hug after a fight, the complicit silence between two friends that don't need subtitles. These moments don't have pixels, but they have soul. And that's precisely why they stand the test of time, while selfies get lost in the feed, swallowed by the algorithm of irrelevance. Of course, they will say that you are difficult, that you don't cooperate, that you should record more. But here's the naked truth. Those who insist on photographing everything are often not living, they're just archiving. And you? Are you here to be remembered or to remember? Because there is a huge difference between having a memory and being a memory. If you still give in to the camera, let it be for a worthwhile reason, a look you want to keep, a place you won't see again, a version of yourself that you know won't last forever. But never out of obligation. Never to fill the void of those who need likes to feel real. And when they ask you why you don't like photos, smile and say, because the best things in life don't fit in a square. Or, just don't explain. Let mystery be your answer. After all, in a world that demands transparency, what is not shown becomes art. Now tell me, have you ever stopped capturing an incredible moment just to experience it completely? Share this reflection with those who also believe that some things are too precious to become a post. And if you want more texts that make you think beyond the obvious, just follow here. Until next time, no flash, no pose, just essence. Blackheart Camera. Why does this text work? 1. Philosophical depth, exist without evidence, being remembered versus remembering, elevates the debate beyond the superficial. 2. Visual contrast, public album versus quiet freedom, creates strong mental images. 3. Impactful phrases, the best things don't fit in a square, memorable and shareable. 4. Tone of poetic resistance attracts those who feel outside the norm and seek validation. 5. Emotional CTA invites action without being aggressive, share with those who also believe. Tip for adapting. Swap photos for any other socially expected behavior, e.g. why don't some people like parties, why don't certain couples wear rings, and apply the same structure. Intriguing hook plus validation plus root causes plus philosophical reinterpretation plus memorable phrase plus soft CTA. The result will always be high engagement and instant identification. What if we talked about those who don't cry at funerals? Have you seen it? While the majority burst into tears, they are standing still, their faces serene, almost expressionless. Some even smile, not out of lack of respect, but as if they were listening to music that only they listened to. And then comes the judgment. How cold. How insensitive. But is it insensitivity? Or are they feeling in a way that we can't see? It's not a lack of love. It's not indifference. It's a pain that doesn't fit into tears. Maybe they have cried before, in the hospital corridors, on sleepless nights, in the silences before saying goodbye. Maybe their bodies learned that tears don't bring anyone back, so they stored their sadness somewhere else, in our hearts. Tense brothers, in the voice that breaks when recounting a memory, in the way they squeeze a coffee cup as if it were the last anchor. Or, they are crying inside in a way that only those who have lost understand. Because there is a type of pain that is not meant to be performed. That doesn't need an audience. Which is so deep that even the crying seems superficial. These people are often the ones who carry others on their shoulders while no one is looking. The ones who organize the paperwork, who choose the music for the ceremony, who hug those who fall apart because someone needs to be whole when the world is falling apart. They don't cry at the wake because they already cried at the small deaths that came before, at the diagnosis, at the last conversation, at the goodbye that wasn't said. And there's more, they know that pain is not a contest. It's not about who suffers the most, who makes the most noise, who posted the most moving tribute. It's about what's left when everyone leaves. About how you reconstruct a breakfast without the voice that asked do you want bread or biscuits. About how you learn to live with an empty chair at the table not because you forgot, but because you loved it too much to reduce it to a movie scene. If you are like this, no, you are not made of stone. You are one of those who understand that some pains are so great that they cannot be accommodated in small gestures. Who knows that mourning has no deadline, no script, no obligation to be beautiful. And that, deep down, the greatest tribute is not to cry, but to continue living in a way that makes everything that was lost worth it. And now, tell me, have you also been judged for not crying when you should? Or do you know someone who holds pain like this? Comment here. Sometimes, what we think is loneliness is just a story waiting to be told. If this text touched you, share with those who need to hear that there is no wrong way to feel homesick. And so you don't miss the next reflections, turn on notifications. Until next time, with silences that speak more than words. High voltage sign. Why this text works, and how to replicate it. 1. Controversial contrary to expectations hook. What if we talked about those who don't cry at funerals? Breaks a taboo. Crying at wakes is socially obligatory. Generates immediate curiosity. 2. Validation plus deconstruction of the judgment. It's not a lack of love. It's not indifference. Protects the reader from feeling attacked, creating security to continue reading. 3. Root causes with visceral examples. Maybe they've already cried everything before plus concrete scenes, hospital corridors, sleepless nights. Activates the reader's emotional memories. Anyone who has lost someone can relate. 4. Contrast between appearance and reality. Standing still, with a serene face versus crying inside in a way that only those who have lost understand. Creates narrative tension. The reader wants to know, what do you mean? 5. Philosophical elevation. Pain is not a contest transforms strange behavior into an act of poetic resistance. The greatest tribute is not to cry, but to continue living. Shareable phrase, potential to go viral. 6. Powerful metaphors. A pain that doesn't fit into tears. A song that only they listen to. Turns abstract into tangible, the reader feels the pain. 7. Emotional CTA plus community. Sometimes, what we think is loneliness, is just a story waiting to be told. Invites the reader to open up in the comments, creating organic engagement. Advanced techniques used here, for you to replicate. Technique example in the text how to apply to other topics. Inversion of expectations. They smile at funerals, not out of lack of respect. X. What if I told you that someone who cancels plans at the last minute can be the most loyal friend? Pain as a superpower. They don't cry at the wake because they have already cried at the small deaths that came before. X. Those who avoid parties are not antisocial, they are those who have already learned that energy is spent on those who are worth it. Ritualization of pain. They carry others on their shoulders while no one is looking. X. Those who don't post on Instagram aren't turned off, they're the ones who keep the magic to themselves. Manifesto phrase. There's no wrong way to miss you. X. There's no such thing as wrong love, just different ways of showing it. Sensory image. They grip a coffee cup as if it were the last anchor. X. They hold the steering wheel tightly, as if it were the only thing they can still control. Challenge for you to practice. Choose a socially judged behavior, e.g. who doesn't like hugs, who doesn't respond to messages, who doesn't take vacations, and write a text using 1. Hook that breaks a taboo. 2. Immediate validation, not X, not Y. 3. Root causes, with concrete examples. 4. A philosophical reinterpretation, turn the defect into strength. 5. Memorable phrase, antithesis, metaphor, or paradox. 6. CTA that invites vulnerability, comment if you too. Example theme to test. Why do some people hate it when they ask how are you? Bonus tip. The texts that most engage are those that give voice to silent pain. Ask yourself, what behavior is often misinterpreted? What emotion does society say should be felt one way, but many people feel another way? What group of people feel invisible or judged? Write to them. They will find you.